let you go for tonight. And again, this may well be in correlation to the fact that Joe Biden is dropping the ball so massively and, failing to deliver on the basic promises on which he was elected. And that is, at least according to this Real Clear Politics average, it would appear that Donald Trump's popularity is kind of creeping back up. You saw over here, it was around 22 at an all-time low. That's, George Bush levels. And now it appears that it's gone back up to around 38, which is, a pretty normal level for Donald Trump when he was president. So do you think it's just people kind of, forgetting and, the whole insurrection event? Do you think people just kind of becoming numb to all that and, getting nostalgic? Or do you think that this is the beginning of a full-fledged rehabilitation of his, approval?
I think all of the above. I think that the news system that we're in, right, where it's just like one day it's just this 24-hour news cycle, right, where it's one day it's so packed with news and everything every day something else is going on, that I think, after, and just with anything, right, like the more time you get away from something, the less raw that emotion is. Obviously at the day of the insurrection, right, like that could have killed anybody's career, but you get away from it, and then obviously a new administration takes over and you start seeing what they do. I would argue Trump's popularity never left. I think people were angry that day. I think people were mad, but I would argue that there were still people that were willing to, like, had an election happen the next day, I still think the people that voted for Donald Trump would have still voted for Donald Trump. That's how much of a hold he has on the party, man. Like, I don't think, maybe he loses 10% of his support, 10, maybe 20 at best. But I still think he does very well. Look, he is still the ultimate boogeyman, man. Like, he's still Michael Myers, and the left and the Democratic Party is Laurie Strode. Like, he's still, like, the stigma of the state is still there. Like, he's not going anywhere. And now I think he has more power, because now he doesn't actually have to govern. He can just play kingmaker and
throw bombs again. That's what he's best at. That's the whole thing. That was what backfired his whole fucking, re-election bid, is that you can't throw bombs from the outside when it's your fucking castle, buddy.
Absolutely.
You know what? Yeah, this is your domain. You're throwing bombs on your own people,
Absolutely.
Especially during a pandemic, yeah,
exactly. And look, and this is not to praise him or to credit him, because we all agree he's just
he's fucking scum. Yeah, I mean, I think it goes without saying.
To the highest degree, right? But no, he is in a lot of ways, he's this amazing. Like, I almost want to psychoanalyze him, because it's just like, he's just amazing, right? Like,
I mean, it's foolish not to, right? I mean, he is a political genius.
We're wowed by him, because it's like, no matter how moronic he is, how incompetent he is, people still support him, because I think he resonated with people. He talked to a group of people that were just ignored for 25, 30 years. And we're really in trouble, because the Democratic Party has not learned from its mistakes, right? Like, we like to think that Trump
QAnon 2022,
right? Like,
he turned out the base.
History. Like, no, he spoke to people's real concerns. And yes, it was coded and mixed with racism and xenophobia. Of course it was. But this guy got 80 million votes in a pandemic. Yep. Like, me and my co-host argued this. Like, had it not been for the pandemic, he cruises.
Would have won
by a mile.
Yeah,
by a mile. Like,
he would have won the Electoral College and the popular vote.
Yeah. And it's just insane, too, that the Democratic Party, it takes a look at these two. And again, obviously, it goes without saying that the Trump movement is full of racists, xenophobes, literal white supremacists, 100%. But it is very telling that the Democratic Party takes a look at the two biggest mass movements of populist energy in Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, and it doesn't learn a goddamn thing from either of those movements as far as what they were actually advocating for or what the language being used was against the elite class.
You know why? Because that would then take them having to do some soul searching. That would then take them to have to look at themselves in their mirror, 40 years of neoliberalism, and say, like, oh, well, maybe Bill Clinton was shitty. Maybe Obama was a disappointment. Maybe Obama didn't do everything that he promised to do. Like, that would actually take some self-reflection. And
I always used to joke that a better title for Hillary Clinton's book would be How I Learned Nothing.
exactly right. No, they can't. They can't. Everybody says, like, oh yeah, they've learned nothing. They can't learn nothing, because that would actually take self-reflection. That would actually take them looking at themselves in a mirror and actually pointing the fingers at themselves, every single one of them, and they're not going to do that.
Yeah. Well, at least in the absence of Donald Trump, while we wait for him to maybe get back on Twitter or whatever, we'll have the Mike Pence podcast to listen to. Hell yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. I can't think of, like, too many things that I literally would rather die. than listen to Mike Pence.
Like Trump's at least entertaining, but Mike Pence.
I would rather listen to Nickelback than put Mike Pence podcast.
Like Mike Pence, oh my god, I can't imagine listening to an entire fucking podcast episode.
I'd rather listen to like a pro Kamala podcast for 8 hours on repeat before I listen to.
I want to sit down with Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton for tea recordings.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be funny.
And that's the other thing about this before we wrap up though. Like the Republican Party is searching for that cult of personality. Like they're searching. Like who's gonna take that mantle? It's definitely not gonna be freaking Dr. Snooze Fest over here. Like it's not gonna be him. Josh Hawley, the phony Ivy League populist.
Where we fucking live, fuck John, dude. It's one way to say, we'll go on this podcast for another 30 fucking minutes if I start talking about Josh Hawley.
Yeah,
anyway.
you guys are in Holly country. I'm sorry. Yeah, no,
the trigger.
That's the other thing about this. Like I'm sure the establishment they can't wait for Donald Trump to leave this earth. They don't have to deal with him anymore, right? But they need him. They need him because right now, like I don't see them winning another election without Donald Trump. At least in the current, at least for the next 4 or 5 years, like I don't see them winning anything. And that's what's so frustrating about Joe Biden, right? Like he came into office. All Joe Biden has to do is administer a vaccine and give people $2,000 checks. He cruises to re-election.
Yep,
and if it's not him, Kamala cruises to re-election. Like that's all they had to do. He could probably start another war and he could still get reelected if he did that shit. Like if the bar is so low, he's still clear. He really does those two things. Yeah, he's waltzing to reelection. He could do whatever he wanted. Yeah, he could literally spend the next 4 years doing whatever we wanted, but people would still remember the fact that, oh yeah, when Biden became president, we got money and vaccinated, and that would be enough to pretty much carry his entire presidency for a lot of people. Absolutely, and he's fucking it up. Really.